Okay, no worries.
Usually there is a 20-second delay. If
Yep.
you just want to wait for the screen to appear and then it's safe,
Sure.
start talking,
Yeah.
as you want.
Yeah, you'll wait to that. You just give me a signal like a thumbs up, and then, yeah, I'll start talking, so that's no problems. Glad I brought this hoodie today. It's easing off now. So it looks like it's really easing off now, which is good. Sunday, Super Sunday of the NPL New South Wales, and it kicks off here at a wet and soggy Lambert Park for a vital round 3 NPL New South Wales clash between the home side, the North Shore Mariners, the Giant Killers, after drawing here at home against Apia Leichhardt and then winning on the road against Wollongong last week. They take on a youthful Sydney FC side looking for 3 more points, and Sydney FC themselves had to do a bit of soul searching during the week. A 4-0 drubbing at the hands of a red-hot Marconi FC outfit sees them desperately wanting 3 points. They sit currently in 8th position with 1 win and 1 defeat, having upset Mount Druitt Town Rangers here at Lambert Park, away at Popondetta Park in the opening game of the season, and 3 points on offer. It should be a cracking contest between two sides that love to throw bodies forward and love to show a lot of excitement for the fans in attendance. Let's take a look at how the two sides line up this afternoon, and first the North Shore Mariners side, as I mentioned, undefeated through their opening 2 games, and they come back home looking for their 2nd win of the season. In goals is Ryan Wood. The backline is Zach Sveligoy, Brian Jamba and Edward Caspers. The midfield, Hugo Forlico, Daniel Diaz, Braden Cheng, Jesse Perez, the star from last week, Panny Nikaz, while Emmanuel Peters sitting in behind the striker, Mitchell Smith, who's in jumper number 18, playing as a lone striker up front for the North Shore Mariners. On the bench, we have Daniel O'Lanaran in 26, the much-travelled English defender, Demir Pradanovic in jumper 23, Daniel Sarich in 19, the backup goalkeeper, Joel Tinker in 21, and Eddie Lee in jersey number 20, backs up on the bench, having played last week for the North Shore side. Sydney FC, they've got a change in the goals with Levi Kay in jersey 20 coming in to start. That means that Adam Pavlesic is relegated to the bench. Thomas Fay, Scott Browning, Callum Talbot and Patrick Flotman, followed by Jake Holman. Luke Ivanovic comes in, having not played last game. Callum Neuwenhoff, Anto Lanarich, and up front Jordan Schwiebel and Jaden Kucharski, who comes in off the bench, having played a 35-minute salvo last week. On the bench, Aaron Gerd, Ben Coop, Adam Pavlevich, Cam Pepion, and also Stephen Stanek Floody, and that is how they line up this afternoon. Sydney FC are going to be kicking off and attacking the northern end here of Lambert Park. As I mentioned, pretty soggy conditions here. The rain has eased off a little bit than it was, I'd say, 15 or 20 minutes ago in the lead up to doing the research and trying to find a safe spot in the ground. It was, pretty soggy throughout. So the players will probably be pretty relieved that it's not quite as windy and wet as it was a little bit before. Smattering of fans that have braved the cold and wet weather here in Sydney's inner west to see what should be a good game of football. Important one here for Sydney FC, who get us underway, and Neuwenhoff drives it downfield. And Chang is able to try and knock it forward, looking for the run of Nikas, but it's swooped upon by Sydney FC. And although listed as an away game for this youthful FC outfit, this is their home ground, so it'll be very, very familiar surroundings for them. Neuwenhoff goes out wide there. Thomas Fay playing in that left back position. And they try and catch the Mariners unawares, and they're able to sneak that ball away through Fay. It's a deflected shot. Diaz gets on it, and then there's a tumbling challenge, and the referee is going to award a free kick to the North Shore Mariners. And it's Jordan Schwiebel, the attacking striker for Sydney FC, that's adjudged to have committed the foul. So, not even 90 seconds into this contest and already an attacking opportunity for the Mariners. We saw Panny Nikas score from a wonderful long-range effort, albeit not a free kick. But he might be looking for Emmanuel Peters to get on the end of this one as he curls the ball in, and it's well wide. It was kind of halfway between a shot and a cross there from that diminutive 31-year-old attacking midfielder. And Sydney FC can breathe a sigh of relief and try and get back underway again. Well trapped there by Edward Caspers. And so it is going to be a corner here for the North Shore Mariners, so another attacking opportunity. Don't know how enthralled the Sydney FC back four are about that. Callum Talbot was adamant that it had come off the leg of a North Shore player, but the referee saw it differently. Joe Hayward would be pleased with what he's seeing from his troops so far. It's curled in from the left-hand side and getting up there and knocking it towards the goal was Feligoi initially. There's Chang. Chang gets in on the end of it. It was offside, but in the end it wouldn't have mattered because it was blasted over the bar by Mitchell Smith, who was able to open his account with a last-minute goal, 89th minute winner against Wollongong last week, and what an impressive performance that was from the North Shore Mariners side. Showing that they're not just here to make up the numbers in the 2020 version of the NPL 1 men's competition. Callum Talbot going down that right side and deflected into touch. Back to Talbot. Good control initially. Managed to find some support there in Luke Ivanovic. And Ivanovic on the right-hand side curls it in. It was a decent ball. It now goes back to the number 7 in Holman. And Holman is tripped up on the edge of the area. And North Shore are able to counter there through... Peters was almost on the end of it. But it's Neuenhoff who wins the challenge against about 4 North Shore jumpers. And wins his side a free kick about 35 yards from goal. Just shy of 4 minutes gone. No score between the home side, the North Shore Mariners, and Sydney FC. Neuenhoff has to go all the way back, and it's a misjudged pass. And Anto Mlanarich, the captain, has to almost go back to the 18-yard box. In fact, he does now as he knocks it back to Levi Kay. Talbot goes forward and finds Kaczarski. Kaczarski beats one. Pushes a nice little ball through there, looking for the run of Callum Talbot. So a good ball and all challenge there by North Shore Mariners. Goes back here to Sveligoi. Goes across to Brian Jamba. Not too many opens at the moment here for the Mariners as they're passing the ball quite laterally. That was a good ball there of Chang, and Chang looking for the run of Smith. It was Mlanarich who intercepted. It was a vital interception as well. And now Pani Nikas in there, and he almost wins the challenge. You'll win his side a free kick though. 25 yards from goal. Wily play from the veteran. As the rain just continues to tumble somewhat here at Lambert Park. We saw the under-20s fixture that preceded this game, won by Sydney FC in handsome fashion, 6-1. But even players of both sides found it difficult to stay on their feet at times underneath the, I guess you could say, greasy artificial surface here at Lambert Park. Well, the last free kick we saw Pani Nikas it was a cross-come shot. Wouldn't be surprised if he tries to maybe just lash this one home. Certainly in his area as he drives this one. Get all the power behind it he would have liked, and it was comfortably taken by Levi Kay in the air, who distributes across here to Thomas Fay. Fay's got support, decides to go to Neuenhoff. Kaczarski showing some good skill on the ball there to keep it in play. Oh, but it's nicely intercepted here. It's pushed forward to Nikas. Daniel Peters almost got on the end of it. And now Sydney FC have a chance to counter-attack a little bit. Schwebel goes back to Jake Holman. Driving forward, looking for the run of Kaczarski. It didn't eventuate. Nikas. Diaz. Back to Nikas in the centre of the park. Daniel Diaz now here on halfway. Some good pressure there by Geordie Schwebel. He's centre forward. He Scored in the opening game of the season for Sydney FC in that 2-1 win at Popondetta Park against the Mount Druitt Town Rangers. And in turn, Mount Druitt Town were pasted by Sydney United 5-0 in round 2, and their round 3 game against the Wollongong Wolves was postponed last night due to a waterlogged field, so that game won't be going on. There was slated to be 4 matches on this Super Sunday of the NPL New South Wales. Instead, it's just the 3, with currently this game and the Blacktown City Sutherland Sharks game on concurrently at 3 o'clock, followed by Arpia and Rockdale at Illingdon Sports Complex at 4:30 as they go forward to Kaczarski on that right wing. Again, good control, but he's under a little bit of pressure there from Jesse Perez, who's playing in that right back role. Cross now to Faye. Faye with a nice little ball inside. Comes back again. It's a decent looking cross, but there was not a Sydney FC attacker to meet it. Dribbled wide, but promising signs for this youthful Sydney FC side going forward on the break and almost catching the North Shore Mariners unawares. Just shy of 10 minutes gone in their fixture. Both sides have created some half opportunities. Nothing fully fledged so far. Kind of get the feeling that both sides are just feeling each other out, seeing what they can get away with the referee as well. Forlico goes back to Sveligoi. Jamba loses control momentarily. Kept in there, and it goes back to Flotman, who drives this one upfield. Sydney FC under extensive pressure there, but it was a nice piece of work by Luka Ivanovic, who now has some green pastures ahead of him. Goes wide out here to Faye. Saw his last cross, it was pretty decent, caused a few problems as ball is curled in and knocked away by the Mariners. Here's Nikas, and Neuenhoff makes a good challenge. It falls for Diaz now. Advantage being played by the referee. It's going to be one back there by Neuenhoff, though. He tries to get it behind, gets a stray elbow for his troubles. And Zach Sveligoi just needs to be a little bit careful there. The arm just strayed away from the body somewhat. And Callum Neuenhoff might have been checking to make sure all his teeth were still there after that exchange. Well, conditions have certainly changed over the last 10 or 15 minutes. 5 minutes before kickoff, the rain was teeming down here in Sydney's inner west. And now there is a scattering of blue sky and the rain has pretty much ceased. Opportunity here, dead ball situation for Thomas Faye and Sydney FC. The left back curls it into the far post coming in. Was knocked away by the North Shore Mariners. I think it was Hugo Forlico that came there and got his foot on the end of it. It's a corner now for the visitors. And it'll be Faye once more for this dead ball situation to try and create something for the Sky Blues. Curled in. Decent delivery. The ball's bobbling around in the penalty area. Faye will get it just on the edge. He swings it into the far post, getting on the end of it and knocking it home beautifully was Patrick Flotman. His first goal of the season, and Sydney FC have struck inside a quarter of an hour. 11 minutes gone. It was a beautiful ball by Faye, curling to the back post, and Flotman, unmarked, came through and powered his header past Ryan Wood, who couldn't do anything but see the ball sail past him into the back of the net. And the Sky Blues have drawn first blood. Got to say, probably against the run of play, considering what we've seen in these first 11, 12 minutes. And they play from in front here this afternoon. It's North Shore Mariners 0, Sydney FC 1. So Flotman, the centre-back, found himself in that attacking final third and wouldn't have been able to believe his luck. And there might be a second one coming here now as Kaczarski gets in behind. Luckily, Braden Cheng tracking back was able to dispossess the striker for Sydney FC, and now North Shore Mariners get to go on a bit of a travel downfield through Hugo Forlico, who was battling against 3 Sydney FC players. Manuel Peters adjudged to have created the foul there against Jake Holman. There certainly would have been some honest discussions last week. Sydney FC losing to a red-hot Marconi Stallions outfit 4-0. Not taking away anything from some of the bad play that Sydney FC would have shown in that game, but the fact that Marconi has beaten Sutherland 4-1, Sydney FC 4-0, and then managed to record a 2-0 win last week. Oh, there's a bit of trouble here for Levi Kay, who came out and then found himself chesting it down right into the waiting arms of Mitchell Smith, who just couldn't get a clean connection on it. And it luckily went wide for the Sydney FC keeper, who's starting today in the place of Adam Pavlesic. But I know there would have been a few frowns in the dressing rooms last week in that loss to Marconi here at Lambert Park. Forlico. And getting him behind here is Nikas. Nikas with a low drive, but safely fielded there by the keeper. Now a bit of a counter-attack here through Kaczarski. Kaczarski finds a Holman who's got plenty of room in front of him. They're trying to track back as quickly as they can, the Mariners. Now he puts the ball across, and almost on the end of it was Sweevil. He couldn't get the touch. It goes back to Holman on the edge of the area on that left-hand side of the field, and he's in a battle there with Forlico. Cleared forward by the Mariners. Fay. Crossfield, and goes now for Neuenhoff. He's unable to keep it under control. Manuel Peters and Panny Nikas picking up where they left off last week, combined beautifully for 2 of the 3 goals. And Nikas unable to thread the needle on that occasion. Scott Browning goes to Callum Talbot. Talbot looking for the run of Sweevil. It's going to beat everyone over the touchline though. But certainly a much more impressive start and much more impressive play from Sydney FC than what we saw last game against the Stallions. Fay is judged to have handballed. Obviously difficult for Sydney FC with their side pretty much made up of youth players, a lot of 17, 18 and 19-year-olds. When you're up against, for example, someone like a Panny Nikas that's played overseas, has played a little bit of A-League, and it's just been around this NPL competition for a good part of the last decade. Those experienced campaigners. Experience gets thrown around a lot, but it is hugely valuable in professional sport. So they've got that going against them every week and pretty much every season, but they've got some really talented players, a bunch of Australian under-17s and under-20s representatives in their ranks. Ivanovic gives away the free kick. He flew in there rather aggressively. Luka Ivanovic, a welcome addition to the side, a man that's made 11 appearances for the Sydney FC senior side, playing some A-League football. Perez. And that was ambitious, to say the least, for the Mariners. Gives away possession. So playing a little bit similarly to the way we saw the Wollongong Wolves play against them last week. Just sometimes looking for those miracle through balls that haven't been there. Callum Talbot with the throw in. One of several young Socceroos representatives. He was included in that young Socceroos squad last season. He's been part of the Sydney FC development or youth squads for a while. Of course, this Sydney FC side were the ones that took out the Y-League in the early part of this season, the 1920 campaign, in resounding fashion over Melbourne Victory. Find the back of net 5 times. A nice interception there by Kaczarski, who's screaming his way downfield. He's looking for support. He tries to put the ball on the platter, but is unable to find Ivanovic. Nikas now. So both sides just being a little bit clumsy with possession for Lico. Nice little nutmeg as he goes across the field there to Kaspers. Kaspers to Cheng. Cheng outside the area. Cheng looking for the run of Nikas, who couldn't get onto it, and then dribbled away from Mitchell Smith, who's going to keep it in. Running across the byline. Here's Forlico. Forlico trips in behind, and when he side of the corner, so that's good play by the North Shore Mariners wide man. So will be Nikas to take the corner. Kasper's giving him that short option. It's very popular in the pro game these days. But looks like Nikas is going to try and curl this into the 18-yard. Maybe even try and drop it inside that 6-yard box as he curls that in from the right. Bounces way to Forlico at an awkward-looking ball to try and control. And Mitchell Smith lost his footing, and it was thumped away downfield by the Sky Blues. Ryan Wood. And Fay will control deep inside his own half. Mlanarich to Holman. Back to Neuenhoff in the centre of the park. Spreads it out to that right-hand side to Talbot. It was a nice move, but a little bit too heavy there. And it's going to win a free kick. Braden Cheng can't believe himself. Hands extended. Emmanuel Peters is doing his best to join the North Shore Mariners debating team by trying to remonstrate with the referee. Here's Neuenhoff. Goes back to Mlanarich. There's Flopman, the goal scorer. A wonderful header at the far post after a great cross from his fellow defensive player in Thomas Fay. There's Mlanarich, and good challenge there by Peters. Just knocks him off the ball. Smith has got the ball just outside the area. He might fancy himself. No, he feeds Nikas right to the byline, and Nikas couldn't get on the end of that. Of course, having a few pre-season injuries as well. Did not want to risk himself there as it dribbles over the byline and out for a goal kick. So 20 minutes gone here at Lambert Park, round 3 of the NPL New South Wales men's NPL 1 competition. And as it stands, Sydney FC leading by a goal to nil. As I mentioned, one of 3 sides that use this ground as a home ground. It's the North Shore Mariners home ground today, Sydney FC's home ground, and also the Apia Leichhardt Tigers. Throw in for the Mariners. It's taken there by Sydney FC out to Talbot. Talbot with a very sloppy piece of passing there. Peters was thankfully dispossessed. Holman wins it back. He might fancy himself here, Jake Holman. Oh, lovely ball through there, looking for the run of Luke Ivanovic. Ivanovic has got Brian Jamba in attention. Pulls it across the middle there to Browning. Browning to Talbot. This is good lead-up play by Sydney FC. It's headed away and will be controlled there by Cheng before he knocks it over the touchline. But you got to say, inching closer to that half an hour mark. It has been Sydney FC that hold a deserved 1-0 lead. They've been the better side, not just in lead-up play, finishing, but a lot more composed on the ball than their counterparts. Although North Shore are able just to getting their hands on a bit more possession of late. Perez. Sviligoi. Oh, Forlico couldn't get on the end of that, and it's kept in there by Holman. He's looking dangerous running forward. He falls, and then it's an awkward looking challenge there. He's won himself a free kick, and he's going to get a yellow card. I don't know if that's the right decision from the referee, because Jake Holman certainly looked like he lost his footing. Emmanuel Peters in there, as is Brian Jamba. No doubt that Jake Holman probably did get some studs to the midriff, but he was slipping and falling, and all that Zach Sviligoi did was hold his ground. Didn't seem to be anything ultra aggressive from the Mariners centre-back, and now there is just a bit of a delay as Holman gets a little bit of attention. We see the Sydney FC physio running out. Maybe just a tad winded the left winger for the Sky Blues. So Zach Sviligoi goes into the book, albeit a little bit harshly, it must be said. So the free kick to be lined up here by Thomas Fay, who set up the first goal from the other side of the ground. Swings that one in. Appeals for handball from the Mariners. It's taken there by Caspers. Goes back. It's like a ball in a pinball machine at the moment as Jamba on the left. And the ball will sail into touch. It's good play here from Sydney FC, really pressuring the home side, getting in their face, not giving them much time on the ball. Neuenhoff. Fay. Flotman forward to Browning. Goes out to Talbot. Right back has been heavily involved this afternoon. Kaczarski cuts back on his inside. Still going. Back to Browning. Looking for the run here, a Sweeble, who gets on the end of it, hacks it back towards the middle, but it's obviously no one running through as Ryan Wood is comfortably able to take that and win possession back for the home side. I don't think anyone would have expected, apart from maybe inside the North Shore Mariners dressing rooms, that they would be collecting 4 points of a possible 6 in their first 2 games, playing against the likes of the reigning champions, Apia Leichhardt, and the reigning premiers, the Wollongong Wolves. It was certainly a baptism of fire for the Lower North Shore club, based in Northbridge on Sydney's North Shore. That's going to be a yellow, and Diaz goes into the book as well. It was a dangerous challenge there on Neuenhoff, who's okay, thankfully. But the Mariners just want to be a little bit careful now. In the space of 2 minutes, they've had both Sviligoi and Daniel Diaz pick up yellow cards. Kay goes to Mlanerich. Fay. Holman doing some nice work and beats around a couple of defenders. Peters is there and wins possession off him. It was good work by the powerful centre forward. His touch has just been a little bit off today. Winning his side a free kick though. I'll throw in, pardon me. Fay. So Fay will win the free kick deep inside his own half. An NPL 2 grand final last season for the North Shore Mariners. Won the club championship, which earned them promotion to the NPL 1. Went down in that grand final against the Hills Brumbies 5-3 in a 8-goal thriller. But have adjudged themselves very, very nicely in their first 2 outings. And those 2 previous games that I was touching on came from behind in both those games. 1-0 down against Apia Leichhardt and fought back to get a 1-1 draw. And then we're down 1-0 against the Wollongong Wolves and won that game 3-2. So being behind isn't something that the Mariners aren't used to. It's the 3rd time it's happened this season. Corner it is. Nice piece of work there by Mitchell Smith, just able to hack the ball back and let it bounce off the heel of Flotman there, who was doing the defensive duties. So another set piece opportunity here for the Mariners. It's their 3rd corner of the afternoon. As we approach half an hour, Paddy Nikas with the delivery. It's a good ball in, and getting on the end of it was Perez, but couldn't direct it past a lovely save by Levi Kay. And Jamba looking for a runner is only able to hit it back to a blue shirt. Lanarich to Browning. Oh, that's a decent looking ball. And Geordie Sweeble, who's quick and pacey, is able to get to that. And when inside a corner as well. Very smart work. The contingent of Mariners fans aren't too pleased with the decision. But wins a corner as Talbot drives an attempted shot in and was deflected away by Braden Cheng. Here's Flotman. Ivanovic across to Talbot. Back to Browning. Good high press here from the Mariners, and Manuel Peters almost got on the end of that as Neuenhoff has the ball in the centre of midfield. Some really good passing here by the Sky Blues. As Thomas Fay gets it behind a couple, tripped up. Referee says no. Caspers. Now here's Paddy Nikas. What can creative midfielder for the Mariners do? They've been all over him like white on rice this afternoon, the Sydney FC back 4. Jamba. Sviligoi. Schwebel pressuring him. And it's another bit of wasted possession by the home side. Sydney FC again able to just reset from the back. Lanarich with a thumping ball forward. He's going to find the run of Kaczarski just inside the area. Did well to control that as Talbot swings in a vicious looking cross which goes behind. And the attacking rate is undone. Goal kick to the Mariners. This Sydney FC side was mentioning 10 or so minutes ago that they do have a wealth and abundance of talent, particularly in the Australian ranks. The goalkeeper on the bench, Adam Pavlicic, part of that Australian Under-17s World Cup campaign over in Brazil. Australia made it to the second round before losing to France by 4-0. It was part of an impressive campaign for that side. Sydney FC had the largest contingent for the final squad that was there in Brazil, but also the initial squad that was announced by Gary Van Egmond back in August of last season. Schwiebel goes wide. It was adventurous to say the least. A little bit too much mustard on that from the attacker. Jordy Schwiebel, one of the few players in the side that, obviously being a little bit older, not part of the under-17 or under-20s Australian side, but was part of Sydney FC's Asian Champions League campaign squad last season. So had experience of training with the 30-man squad that Sydney FC had brought together. As he gets up there to Holman, here's Fay. Oh, and then Peters is judged to have been a fair tackle there. And they'll win the throw in here, North Shore. Trying to reset from the back out here to Braden Cheng, who's been pretty quiet so far this afternoon after having a bit of an impact last game. He shows his turn of speed there. Nice challenge. Coming back, though, by Kaczarski, a winger on the far side. Here's Kaspers. Douse goes across here to Sviligoi. Jamba. So not too many openings here for this North Shore Mariners side. Goes to Diaz. Peters. Reunited with his former coach at Mount Druitt Town. And now a adventurous shot, which is going to be a fantastic goal! Are you kidding me? Jordan Schwiebel. One of the goals of the season from halfway. Ryan Wood off his line, and it wouldn't be fair to say he chipped him because the ball has ballooned over the North Shore Mariners keeper and thumped into the back of the net. And Sydney FC 2 goals to the good with 10 minutes left in the first half. And there's not too many better strikes you're going to see anywhere in Australia on a Sunday afternoon. Jordan Schwiebel take a bow. That was something very, very impressive. I wonder if that might make the national news like it did for one particular Wollongong Wolves defender with that famous scorpion kick against the Sutherland Sharks last season. I don't know what was cooler, the goal or the celebration from Schwiebel. He was cool as a cucumber, but here's Braden Cheng getting into the area. But good cover back there by Talbot. And also Flotman. Well, if the North Shore Mariners weren't panicking at 1-0 down, they might just be a little bit more apprehensive now to try and get a goal before half-time. Down 2-0. Diaz. Here's Pani Nikas. I think, was that goal really did come against the runner play? I said that the first goal came against the runner play, but you could probably argue that Sydney FC had a bit of possession leading into that, but the last 5 minutes had been North Shore Mariners camped down here trying to find an inroad. And that goal really might have just knocked the stuffing out of them. Forlico goes forward here to Pani Nikas on the edge of the area. Nikas tries to drill one through there for Mitchell Smith as it's Mlanrich who is able to slide and push it into touch. Two other games still to play in the weekend. One currently going on at the moment between Blacktown City and also Sutherland Sharks. And then the other game later today, it should be a cracker up. Your Leichhardt against Rockdale at Linden. And a lovely little bicycle kick, almost got on the end of that, was Peters to reduce the deficit. Headed forward, it's a foot race here between Schwiebel and Diaz, and Schwiebel wins the race, but coming across is Jamba. And it's going to be a throw-in for the Mariners. That's really good, tough, quality football, isn't it? Gotta love those challenges between centre-backs and centre-forwards, throwing their bodies into everything, trying to win possession for their team. Perez lumps it forward. Felica could be in behind here. He was asking for a free kick and almost demanding a free kick from the referee. A bit of frustration starting to creep in for this North Shore Mariners side. Flotman. It's forward to Kaczarski. Couldn't control that. Rebounded about 15 metres back as Mitchell Smith got on the end of it, but it was a real miscue as the left foot wasn't able to fully connect with that ball bobbling around outside the 18-yard box. Iconic ground here, Lambert Park in Sydney's inner west, the inner west suburb of Leichhardt. You've got the light rail line behind us at the southern end. And on Marion Street, probably one of the more famous streets here in Leichhardt when you take out Norton Street, which is noted for its wonderful cuisine here. And fans that might have stayed away because of the wet weather might be trying to rethink their decision now with a really good battle on our hands between these two sides. And now Sydney FC go forward. Schwiebel goes to Kaczarski. It goes to Holman on the edge of the area. Does well just to compose himself and control it. To Fay. Fay with a swinging ball in. Back to Holman. Heads forward looking for the run of Ivanovic. Doesn't work out for the Sky Blues. Necaster Diaz. He loses possession. It's now Neuenhoff. Neuenhoff running at this back four of the Mariners. Swings across there to Schwiebel. Doesn't have the composure this time and smacks it harmlessly over the bar. Goal kick for North Shore. Goal before half-time would ease some of this apprehension for the Mariners, who haven't played, I wouldn't say they've played bad in this first half. They've created a few opportunities and have controlled possession nicely. But I'd say just the defensive setup of Sydney FC has just kind of stifled their go forward a little bit. Obviously now, with not much to go on up your Leichhardt in the first game when they played North Shore Mariners. And Wollongong really only had one bit of sample size to go on, and now it might just be a little bit more difficult for the Mariners as sides get to use a bit of video and use 2, 3, 4 games worth of footage to try and work out where their weaknesses and their strengths are. Here's Caspers. It's got to be a free kick, will be. Jim Van Wieren would be very pleased with how his side has played so far this afternoon. He wasn't very critical of them after that game against Marconi because he thought that they created enough opportunities to score 2, potentially 3 goals. Said they weren't clinical enough and they kind of got a little bit deflated from some of those missed opportunities that led to goals, some of the lost possession. Looks like there is going to be a substitution here for Sydney FC. Luke Ivanovic ambling towards the touchline. So he's picked up an injury. And so he'll be subbed off, and Ben Coop, who started last game against Marconi, will come on. So it's an unfortunate end for Luke Ivanovic. his afternoon. And so some fresh legs coming on for Sydney FC, although looking at it as an enforced change that I'm sure Jim Van Wieren wouldn't really have wanted. Here's Paddy Nikas from the free kick, curling it in on the back of Sviligoi. Knocked home, thankfully, there by Mlanarik, who was offside, though. And the Mariners' opportunity goes begging. Will be a free kick here to Sydney FC. So Kay gets us back underway as his free kick sails over halfway. Nieuwenhof. That hit a Talbot. Talbot has a little bit of room to manoeuvre. Schwevel. Now here's Browning with a nice weaving run. Talbot. Here's Kaczarski. Creating some room here as Thomas Fay, the left back, gets involved. Chamba heads up, it doesn't get a great connection. Diaz is there to clear back to Browning. Schwevel. Talbot. Talbot, and a nice work here. Lovely 1-2 by the Sky Blues to the byline. Swings it across. Coop almost got on the end of it, which would have been his first touch. Pires clears out wide, looking for the run of Nikas. Okay, clears up field. Nikas is going to win possession. That's good work by the 31-year-old. There's some concern for Callum Talbot on that right side of defence. He's got himself up, may have just got a bit of a knock to the back there. In that other NPL round 3 match that's going on at the moment at the Lilies Football Stadium in Sydney's West. It is Blacktown City 1, Sutherland Sharks 0, and Matty Lewis playing in his 300th game, would you believe, has found the back of the net for the home side, a 30th minute goal for him. And Blacktown City leading Sutherland 1-0. Blacktown City making a good start to the season. Sutherland indifferent, although did play fairly well in the second half to get a 1-1 draw against Rockdale City in the Southern City Derby at Seymour Shaw Stadium last week. Here's a lovely run forward. Oh, a lovely ball inside. Kaczarski could make it 3. Kaczarski with a lovely finish. 3-0 to Sydney, and they are running right here at Lambert Park. Beautiful lead-up play. Kaczarski did well because he had one defender in front of him, knocked it to the right, and it was a lovely, lovely low drive which thundered into the net. And Sydney FC in complete and utter control in stoppage time of this first half. North Shore Mariners, it's not a good return back to Lambert Park for them. North Shore Mariners 0, Sydney FC 3. Can't be long left in this first half. North Shore Mariners were the ones that would have wanted to sneak a goal right at half time. And as it stands, they have been completely and utterly outclassed in this first 45 minutes. A clinical and dominant display by the Sky Blues. North Shore, as the sun starts to shine here at Leichhardt. Sydney FC pushing forward. So half-time at Lambert Park, and it's a surprise scoreline because at half-time the informed North Shore Mariners have all the work to do. They trail by 3-0 after an excellent and clinical opening 45 minutes from this youthful Sydney FC side. The goal started early on. It was Patrick Flotman who knocked home after a wonderful cross to the far post by Thomas Fay on 11 minutes to give them a 1-0 lead. Jordan Schwebel has put his name up in lights for a potential goal of the season, a beautiful halfway lob, which saw the North Shore Mariners goalkeeper Ryan Wood in no man's land, made it 2-0, and then right on half-time, it was Jaden Kaczarski with a wonderful finish off the right foot, driving low and hard past Ryan Wood to make it 3-0. They've got all the work to do in the second half, the North Shore Mariners. Can they do that, or will Sydney FC push on for their second win of this NPL 1 men's season? Find out in 15 minutes' time. But at half-time, here at Lambert Park at Leichhardt, it's the North Shore Mariners 0, Sydney FC 3. possessed by Thomas Fay. That's a nice little battle there between Thomas Fay and Daniel Saric. That's a poor cross by Saric, and Sydney FC are able to push the ball away from harm's way. So both sides have made the one substitution each. Sydney FC forced into a substitution in the first half when they lost Luke Ivanovic, and he was replaced by Ben Coop on 41 minutes, and then at half-time there was Edward Caspers was subbed off, and Daniel Saric replaced him on the right side of midfield. So Cheng unable to control. Goal kick here to Sydney FC. Almost 5 minutes gone in this second half. Nice control again from Sydney FC. They looked very composed on the ball. Oh, lovely little flick looking for the run of Geordie Swivel. That didn't happen. Yellow card there. It's going to go against the left back, Thomas Fay. Daniel Saric just getting changed. There's a little bit of delay there, but the referee was writing Thomas Fay into the book. Anyway. Here's Forlico. Goes back here to Kaczarski. It was a wonder effort. Didn't quite get over the top of the football. And harmlessly over the bar, but half opportunity there for the Sky Blues. And they're certainly not going to die wondering, are they? They're looking to add to this 3-goal advantage that they've worked incredibly hard for. Jamba goes to Peters, who tracks back to defence. Nikas for Lico now. So he gets into Sydney FC's half. Forward to Pani Nikas. Oh, that was a little bit cynical. He's going to go in the book for this, I fancy. Here's Jake Holman. And the referee brandishes another yellow card. So a couple of yellow cards in the space of 2 minutes. So free kicker, a decent position for a set piece here for the Mariners. Probably about 35 yards from goal. They go to Saric, and again it's that's the call here from the referee. It's going to be a yellow card. No, it's going to be a free kick right on the edge of the area. You're dealing in inches there. I think Daniel Saric may be trying to plead with the referee that the foul took place inside the penalty area. That referee was not going to fall for that, the oldest trick in the book, but this is a great position for the Mariners to potentially get on the board here this afternoon. And it will be Pani Nikas standing over the ball. They almost ruined that last free kick opportunity. Saric unable to control. Nikas with a thunderous effort. Cross the face of goal. No one can get on the end of it. A chance goes begging for the home side. But there might have been a few hearts in mouths kind of scenarios across at the Sydney FC technical area. But they do survive the Sky Blues. Nodded on by Forlico to Sviligoi. Skipping around there is Daniel Saric. Links up with Diaz quite well on that right side and will win his side a corner. So some enterprising play down on that wing by Daniel Saric. Six Mariners players in the box. It's a poor delivery and it's easily dealt with there as Browning clears almost up to halfway, and then Jamba, not really sure what he was thinking there. He's thumped that one into touch. Sure he would have loved to keep the ball in play and try and keep some pressure on, but didn't happen. Goes over everyone as Filigoi goes back here to Ryan Wood. So a bit of adversity for the Mariners to overcome here. Haven't been in a position like that, like this one so far in this NPL 1 men's season. As I mentioned in the first half, they fell behind against Apia in the first game of the season here at Lambert Park and pulled it back to make it 1-1, and we're down 1-0 against Wollongong before fighting to lead 2-1 and pegged back at 2-2 before eventually hitting the winner to win 3-2. So it's uncharted territory for them, and now we see Mitchell Smith with a good opportunity. He's dispossessed there by Neuenhoff. He's been very impressive today, Callum Neuenhoff, playing in that central defensive mid-role, helping out his defenders, but also setting up for attack, and distribution has been very impressive. Only 19 years of age, hailing much like a lot of this Sydney FC squad from the Northern Beaches, from the suburb of Manly. He was actually part of an AIS training squad down in Canberra that was identifying future young Socceroos, future under-20s players and potential members of the senior Socceroos squad. As here's Jordan Schwebel. There's a half opportunity here. He might go wide to Kaczarski. Ball wasn't right on the platter that Kaczarski would have wanted, but he runs to the byline. Opportunity hasn't been lost just yet. Talbot. Here's Browning under pressure there from Peters. Oh, it's a beautiful ball across the face, but just couldn't quite get it, was Holman. And a little bit similarly to when we were at Albert Butler Memorial over last week, we are backing right onto a rather major road. So that's the first time we've seen the ball clear the back wall here at Lambert Park. Sure one of the ball boys will be called upon to go and fetch that. Here's Jake Holman, Neuenhoff. Lovely passing there to Talbot. Talbot goes out to Kaczarski. Kaczarski curls it in. It's going to be headed just over the bar. Tracking back there was Jesse Perez, the centre back, and it will be a corner for Sydney FC. Anton Mlenarich, the captain's in the box, as is Flotman, who scored the first goal. Browning. Plenty of positive talk here from Sydney FC. I know another goal here would effectively kill this game off. Fay with a corner. Goes up and headed up. Taken in the end there by Wood. Referee was almost contemplating blowing a free kick, but when he saw that Wood had come down with it, seemed to play some kind of advantage. Braden Cheng. Here's Hugo Forlico, who's been with this Mariners club for some time. Come up through the under-20 system and played under-20s football for them last year before he was promoted to the NPL2 competition as Jamba just a little bit overexcited there. Clips the heels of Jake Holman, and free kick is awarded to the Sky Blues. Don't use it to their advantage though, as Braden Cheng is able to intervene, and now Emmanuel Peters has a little bit of running room in front of him. Towering number 11 goes out wide here to Pani Nikas. Nikas dribbling, running at the defence, trying to get in behind them. It's deflected off Callum Talbot, who's able to drive forward, and Jamba in a battle there with Mlanarich. Mlanarich goes forward to Holman. They're looking good now, but it's a poor pass by Holman. He's looking to get it past Svi Ligoy for the run of Kaczarski. That didn't eventuate. Diaz goes forward to Emmanuel Peters. This is better from North Shore Mariners. Looking a lot more composed and starting to find some room behind the midfield of Sydney FC. Chang. It was an adventurous cross, and Smith got on the end of it. The ball is ballooned out. Peters will win it about 30 yards from goal. For Lico. Now Sarich curling the ball in. Smith got on the end of it, but just couldn't quite direct his sliding shot towards the goal. And it slides out for a goal kick. It was difficult. It was one of those kind of half chances that they've had a few of this afternoon, the Mariners. But when you're down 3-0 there, the chances ultimately you need to take. Flotman. Driven forward up over halfway. Benjamin Coop trying to get on the end of that. Talbot wins it back. I think he's been one of the best this afternoon, the right back. He's been involved in everything. Distribution has been fantastic. Here's Jake Holman on the edge of the area. Pushes it across. Coop with a wonderful finish, but just couldn't quite direct it. Thought for a moment that was ending up at the back of the net. But it was a miscue off the side of the boot and ballooned wide. That was a golden opportunity to make it 4-0 for Sydney FC. And the Mariners can count themselves a tad lucky there that they didn't concede the goal. Probably the pressure of a on-rushing Ryan Wood was able to put him off just for a moment there. Sarich now to Diaz on the edge of the area. Takes a deflection, bounces out to Cheng on the left. Cheng back to Jamba. Jamba winds up. That takes another deflection and balloons away, and it's going to be won back by the Mariners momentarily. Coop then wins it. Battles with Nikas. Nikas, the veteran, knows that he was never going to get away with that, but he wanted to try and kill the flow and the momentum that they were getting there. Geordie Swivel was able to see the funny side of it. You probably can afford to when you've scored a halfway goal and your side's 3-0 up with half an hour to play. Coop looking for the run of Swivel. Intercepted there by Sveligoy. And as Daniel Diaz, he's been a lot more involved in this game than he was last game. And is unable to be creating those opportunities that Joe Hayward would want from his side. Talking of Joe Hayward, you wonder whether, with just under half an hour to play, whether he does just roll the dice in these final 30 minutes and use his final 2 substitutions. Maybe try and bring on another attacker. Maybe go with 3 at the front, throw some bodies forward. Obviously, you don't want to ship 5 or 6 goals, but at the same time, if you can nab a goal or 2, even 1 goal, North Shore Mariners would feel confident that they would be back in this contest. Here's Swivel. Jamba does well to intercept, but it will be a throw-in for Sydney FC. Tussle in the midfield there. Jamba comes out tops and knocks the ball across to Pani Nikas. Perez came off the bench last week and was used initially as a wing back, but playing a little bit tighter into as a centre-back position. It's Viligo, or for Lico in fact, that wins this ball. Does well. Nice little ball there to Pani Nikas. But they've done well using their bodies to get in front of deliveries. It's probably the 9th or 10th block we're seeing in this half. And now here's Swivel, who gets on the outside. He's got 2 men to aim for. Coop and Kacharski. Goes back to Coop with I wouldn't call it a bicycle kick, but it was quite acrobatic. And Coop was almost able to make it 4-0. So Sydney FC, almost like a shark that can smell blood in the water from a prey. They're going for the jugular of this North Shore Mariners outfit. 2 opportunities that they could have easily have finished in these last 5 or so minutes. Cheng into the area. Silky skills on the ball. But coming across was the number 19 in Flotman. And he's able to clear safely. Corner for the North Shore Mariners. Can they make use of this set piece opportunity? With Pani Nikas. Swung in from the left-hand side here at Lambert Park. Nodded away by Sydney FC. Cheng controls, goes to Sarich. Sarich curls in, that's a good ball. Smith couldn't get on the end of it. Nikas controls. But just too many Sydney FC bodies there at the moment for him to try and make some headway. Referee said the challenge was fine. And cleared away. And it is going to be a throw-in, so just stayed in the field of play. Long throw into the box, most Rory Delap-like. If you can remember the towering throw-in specialist in his days at Southampton. And now breakaway down the left through Kacharski. Cheng's chasing, he's quick as well. Cheng's able to dispossess, but now Swivel looking to put some pressure on Brian Jamba. And will do enough to see the ball go into touch and win the throw-in. Talbot. Nice block there by Jesse Perez. Coop. Holman almost went through to Schwevel. It was a vital block there by Daniel Sarich. As Mitchell Smith up front almost by himself. He's judged to have been, and his legs kicked in behind by Mlenarich, the Sydney FC skipper. It's been a toiling, workmanlike performance in the second half here for the North Shore Mariners as we see Diaz come off. And he'll be replaced by Damir Predanovic, former Manly and Sutherland Sharks representative. Vastly experienced in this NPL New South Wales competition. Has actually got his FFA A licence and is doing coaching at the moment, along with Paddy Nikas, who I believe has his FFA C licence. So looking into life after football. There's certainly 2 players that have excited the crowds all over Sydney and all over Australia. In Paddy Nikas' case, playing with the A-League. Coop gets this one and now pushes forward to Kacharski. On the counter once more, Kacharski goes back to Schwevel. Schwevel on the edge of the area. Schwevel off the upright. Bounces away. Kacharski's managed to win the ball back momentarily. He knocks a shot at the goal, but diving across and making a good save was Ryan Wood. That was almost 4-0. They are really gunning for number 4 of Sydney FC. They've had 3 golden chances. They didn't get much closer than that one. The woodwork saving Ryan Wood on that occasion, but Sydney FC are coming almost like a tidal wave at the moment. Kacharski goes back to Talbot, goes to the byline, tries to swing it back, but didn't get power into it, and Wood was able to save. Forlico. Penny Nikas almost playing up in a attacking midfield role or sharing that right wing with Daniel Saric. Appears they're playing three up front now, which I think is what they needed to do. Smith looking for the run of Saric. They weren't on the same page. So more than halfway through this second half, if it's going to be turned around by the North Shore Mariners, they need to find the back of the net quickly. Only 21 more minutes of regulation time. Schwevel. Browning and Nikas in a good battle in the midfield. Kaczarski. Distribution just not where it's needed for the North Shore Mariners side, and looks like the final substitution is going to be used by this North Shore side. Hugo Forlico coming off, and Daniel O'Lanaran, the English import, coming on. So subbing off a defender for a defender, maybe trying to add some fresh legs. Daniel O'Lanaran, an interesting prospect for this North Shore Mariners side. He's played 10 minutes off the bench last game. It's a little bit more than that today. But has played in the United Kingdom with Luton Town, Hitchin Town and Bedford Town. Of course, Luton Town in the Football League, Hitchin Town playing in the National League over there in England. The what was formerly the Conference League, fourth tier of English football. So he is certainly a very talented player, skillful and has really good distribution. Might be called upon to try and deal with a cross here as Kaczarski pushes it back in. Coop with a header. It is fielded comfortably in the end there by the goalkeeper for the North Shore Mariners in Ryan Wood. Browning forward to Schwebel. Talbot now with the ball. Neuenhoff. Wind really starting to pick up here at Lambert Park. These last couple of minutes, it now goes to Talbot. Talbot might fancy himself here with a lovely shot across. Was cleared off the deck there, and now a lovely chipped effort by Holman, but Wood's been called into action the last 15 minutes. He's made 3 or 4 really decent saves to ensure that that lead hasn't ballooned outside 3 goals. Oh, a tackle there by Mlanarich. It's going to be a free kick. Came from behind. Thankfully, Mitchell Smith is okay. Well won there by Kaczarski. Talbot. Well, based on this performance, the Sydney FC can put in shifts regular like this, then they might be having a bit of a say in the NPL final series in August, September, later this year. O'Lanaran. Looks like there's going to be one more sub for Sydney FC, Cam Pupion. Looks like he might come on for Mlanarich, who did just hand the captain's armband to Jaden Kaczarski. Cheng keeps the ball in play nicely. Manuel Peters. Nice link-up play there to Mitchell Smith with an opportunity. What an awesome save. That is a lovely, lovely save there by Levi K. He hasn't been called into action much, but that was a really nice piece of keeping. Diving to his left, palming it away. Mariners get a corner though. That would have made an interesting final quarter of an hour. They've been able to find the back of the net there. And nodded away by Mlanarich. Trying to find the key to unlock that back four, but it's not forthcoming. Jordan Schwebel. He's got options left and right. He decides to go to Fay. Fay with a curling ball across. He'll find Kaczarski. Kaczarski controls well. Goes back across the face, but evaded everyone. Eventually, Fay was able to collect the ball. Jamba intercepts the Mariners captain, but great piece of work by Nieuwenhof. And Nieuwenhof has created more than a half little opportunity here for Sydney FC. Tries to go across the middle. Schwebel picks it up. He trips on his own feet and looks at the referee. But Nieuwenhof able to win possession back for his side. Offside's the call though. Linesman's got his flag up. And we are going to see that final substitution. So, in fact, it won't be Mlanarich. It'll be Jaden Kaczarski. That is the man that is making way. A wonderful performance for him. Scored a goal. And has been very energetic on this right flank all afternoon. He's had a say in pretty much everything Sydney FC have done. Until we replaced by the number 18, Cameron Pupion. And Pupion will come out onto this right-hand side. "17 years of age, Cam Pupion. He actually was one of the goal scorers against Mount Druitt Town Rangers in game 1 of the season. Both him and Jordan Schwebel were the goal scorers. So with Schwebel's fantastic goal earlier today, he has 2 for the season. And Pupion might be trying to challenge him for golden boot honours, at least at Sydney FC, in these early stages. Peters. Cheng. Jamba. Good ball out there to Daniel Saric. Fortunately, just hasn't been able to have that impact that I'm sure Joe Hayward would have desired. Hasn't been through lack of trying for the Mariners. They're moving the ball laterally and trying to create space and trying different things, but it just hasn't come off. Sydney FC have just looked very stout defensively. Use their body really well. But here's a half opportunity here for Mitchell Smith on the edge of the area. Goes across to Peters. It was a poor pass, and coming across there was Talbot, who thunders this ball into touch up towards halfway. And it would take something of a miracle for the home side now, with under 13 minutes of regulation time left in this one. Lanaran, he can't control the ball. It's just a little bit wide of the English import. Good challenge there by Nikas. He's able to win the ball back. That's good play by the wily veteran. Cheng goes forward to Peters. It's not for the first time. Sydney FC's back four has been composed, been able to create a turnover. Looking for the linesman. Flag goes up for offside. Benjamin Coop from millisecond may have thought he got away with one there. Getting in behind the Mariners defence. They've certainly looked a lot more bright, haven't they, North Shore, when this man, Brian Jamba, has moved into, I guess, more of a defensive midfield role. Lanaran up there to Cheng. Cheng running at the defence. He's got two defenders on him. Gets the ball past them, but loses possession. And Talbot just decides the safe option is to put it out for a corner. They've had plenty of set-piece opportunities this afternoon, the Mariners, but there's been no goals forthcoming from them. Haven't really created any clear opportunities in this half. The biggest one, Mitchell Smith's nice low drive, which was parried away by Levi Kay. Pradanovic's shot is blocked. It was ambitious, to say the least, from the veteran there. Goes forward there to Braden Cheng. First touch was just a little bit heavy. Gave the Sydney FC team a chance to get onto it. And now we see Benjamin Coop using his size and strength. Schwevel. Pupion. He goes all the way to the other side of the field and picks out Jake Holman. Holman to Schwevel, who gets one on the end of it. And it's a beautiful finish. 2 goals for him and 4 for Sydney FC. It's a wonderful afternoon in Sydney's inner west for them. It was a lovely ball, and Schwevel was just able to angle his head ever so slightly to angle it past Ryan Wood, who's having a treacherous day between the sticks. There was nothing he could do about that one. Schwevel gets his second, his third for the season. And with 10 minutes of regulation time remaining, it's now North Shore Mariners 0, Sydney FC 4. That puts to bed any glimmer of hope that the Mariners may have thought they had if they could have snared a goal. It's been an afternoon to forget for the NPL 1 new boys. They upset win against the Wollongong Wolves last week. They've come crashing down to earth against a clinical and very impressive Sydney FC side this afternoon. Schwevel with a double. There's also been a goal apiece to Jaden Kaczarski and Patrick Flotman. 4-0. That was after their under-20 side was able to put a cricket score on North Shore Mariners by 6-1 in the curtain raiser to this game. Free kick to the Mariners on halfway. So the Mariners need to be careful that they don't concede another 1 or 2 potentially. They were going for the quick free kick there. The referee said they're going to retake it. Didn't have absolutely everything ready there. Lanaran. Sviligoy, who's been solid today, but has had his work cut out against some very talented young players. That isn't going to be the last time we're going to be hearing their name on this live stream, and not going to be the last time that their names are going to be up in lights either. A lot of Australian under-17s and under-20s representatives. There is 14 minutes left in that other NPL game at the moment that you can also catch on the live stream. It is 2-1, Blacktown City over Sutherland Sharks. Matt Lewis opened the scoring on half an hour. Juan Romero cancelled it out with the 61st minute leveller. But 7 minutes later, Matt Lewis in his 300th game has got a double. He's scored from the penalty spot to make it 2-1 to Blacktown City over the Sutherland Sharks. And 8 minutes gone in the third and final of our Super Sunday fixtures here in the NPL 1 men's competition. Rockdale City Suns and Apia Tigers. It is 0-0 in that game. Will Gotsis has the commentary in that game for you. That should be a cracking fixture between two sides that have a lot of potency going forward. Schweibel tries to get on the end of this one. He'd love a hat-trick. He's got 2 goals next to his name. And he is certainly my pick for man of the match, up there with Jordan Kucharski and also Callum Talbot. But I don't think you can really fault any of the performers in the blue jerseys this afternoon. They've all been very impressive, including this man, Flotman, scored the first goal. Geordie Swivel will get on the end of it. Everyone kind of stopped and watched, but the flag is up. That's why they stopped, because they assumed that the offside call was going to happen. And Sydney FC make a substitution as well. Scott Browning, who's had a good shift in the midfield, is going to make way. And Stephen Stanek-Floody will come onto the pitch and get a bit of taste of action. Get roughly 10 minutes of play out in the middle here of Lambert Park. So it'll be Sydney FC's second win of the season. They beat Mount Druitt Town 2-1 at Popondetta Park in round one. They were brought down to earth here against Marconi last week, losing 4-0, and then have reversed their fortunes and currently lead 4-0 against the Mariners. And now, as this clearance is miscued, Swivel gets up for it. There's a million handballs in there. I think it rolled up Swivel's arm and then may have come down on Sviligoy's arm as well. Referee rules the initial handball and free kick to the Mariners. So as it stands, Sydney FC 2 wins for the season. They've currently got 6 goals for, 5 goals against, for a goal differential of +1. So that will put them up into the top 6. Of course, with Wollongong and Mount Druitt Town not having played a fixture, they were 8 coming into this game as well, this Sydney FC outfit. And they've turned it around with a very impressive performance here this afternoon. So a yellow card to be given there to Jesse Perez. Last thing that either of these two sides want is to pick up cards unnecessarily, considering that you collect 5 yellow cards in the NPL men's competition, you'll be sitting out a match. Talbot, Pupion. And a dangerous back ball. Sviligoy gets back there, but only as far there as Jake Holman. Here's Benjamin Coop. His cross is blocked away. They do retain possession though, the Sky Blues. So just taking a look at the ladder as it stands at the moment, Marconi Stallions are top on 9 points. Blacktown City, if they can hold on to that 2-1 advantage they have with 10 minutes to go against Sutherland, that will join them, though Marconi will be top on goal difference there. Goal difference is 9. Blacktown City's will be 3, unless, of course, they are able to score a few more goals. But it will be Sydney FC that move themselves up to 2 wins and a defeat, and will go currently into 3rd position on 6. Ball bubbling around in the penalty area. It's knocked away by the North Shore Mariners, and Nikas is able to help clear upfield. But that is, of course, pending on the Arpia Leichhardt and Rockdale City Suns game that's going on. But regardless, they will be no lower than 5th in the ladder. So here's a good position for them to be in. The old adage is so important in any organised sport to win those games at the start of the year. Comes in handy to bank points in the first maybe 5 to 6 games. And they've certainly done that with wins over Mount Druitt Town, and now have to say, a big scalp against a North Shore Mariners side that many people were expecting big things from this afternoon. 4 points from a possible 6 against the reigning champions and premiers. Cry of exclamation there from Daniel O'Lanaran as his misguided pass went into touch. Both sides probably pretty fatigued and tired at the moment, and some loose ball control here, some sloppy passes, but they can be forgiven for doing that, considering we are into the final minute of regulation time here at Lambert Park. O'Lanaran to Cheng, back to O'Lanaran. Goes on a bit of a run, the centre back, but picked off by Pupion, who charges his way forward the 17-yard, finds some support in Schwevel. Schwevel's cross looked like it hit the hand of Coop, but referee has no problems. Pupion now goes to Schwevel with a thunderous effort. Good save, though. Ryan Wood got his fingertips to it to divert it over the bar. And it will be a corner on the far side, the Marion Street side here of Lambert Park. Is there a 5th goal in the reckoning here for Sydney FC? It would be a cherry on top of the cake. What's been a fantastic performance this afternoon. Fourth official has indicated 3 minutes of a minimum of 3 minutes additional time. Headed up and knocked straight into the path of Ryan Wood. Can North Shore Mariners break this impenetrable wall of defence and try and improve this scoreline? No, they pass directly to Jordan Schwevel. Good save by Wood. He scored one from halfway. He couldn't get that one in from around about 20 yards. A good diving stop by Wood. Jamba. Through ball there to Pradanovic. Good challenge there. The man wearing jumper 23, Pupion. Deflects away and loses possession. Back here to Ryan Wood. Spoken about Sydney FC obviously being chuffed about picking up 3 points and improving their goal difference from -3 to +1. Whereas the North Shore Mariners, who came into this game in third position, that is. They'll have some soul searching to do at training throughout the week. Will be interesting to read the comments of Joe Hayward of where he thought it went wrong. Outgunned and outmanned by a much more enthusiastic Sydney FC side, and just seemed to be a yard or so quicker throughout the pitch, as well as controlling possession really nicely. Bit of lax defending by the Mariners as well. Probably didn't help. Pani Nikas with a good strong challenge there to hold on to possession just outside the area. Feeds Emmanuel Peters. Peters' pass is miscued, and Pupion is able to swarm on it and go on a bit of a gallop down his wing. Coop, lovely through ball here for Ryan Holman. And Holman with a lovely finish, but he just can't sneak it home. Sorry, Jake Holman. He managed to get him behind the back four, but just couldn't quite get his shot on target. And it dribbles out for a goal kick. So 30 seconds or so left in this one. And it appears if 4-0 is going to be the final scoreline here at Lambert Park in round 3 of the NPL New South Wales Men's 1 competition. Although the Mariners putting together one last salvo here through Daniel Sarich. Sarich to the byline, pulls one across the face of goal. And that'll be full time, and it's a massive win for Sydney SC. Their 2nd win of the season, and it's a huge scalp over the North Shore Mariners here this afternoon at Lambert Park. full-time, North Shore Mariners 0, Sydney FC 4, and it was a dominant performance from the Sydney FC young boys, who played well from opening whistle. They scored 3 times in the opening half and added a further goal in the second half. The rout started on 11 minutes thanks to Patrick Flotman nodding home a curling cross by left-back Thomas Fay. And then it was the fireworks. They started on 35 minutes. Jordan Schwebel scored the first of his 2 goals with a wonderful long-range chip from halfway, with Ryan Wood outside his goal and in no man's land to level things up at to open up their account and make it 2-0. Jaden Kaczarski then hit a lovely goal right on halftime in stoppage time of the first half. A cool, calm and collected finish into the right-hand corner. And then it was all done and dusted with a goal in the second half to make it 4-0 when we saw a second goal to Jordan Schwebel, as he was able to direct a decent cross in from Jake Holman past Ryan Wood, who was unable to get a hand on the end of it. So Schwebel finishes with 2 goals, well, 1 apiece to Jaden Kaczarski and also Patrick Flotman. So they move up to as high as 3rd on the competition ladder, Sydney FC, with their 2nd win of the season, while North Shore Mariners slip to their 1st defeat of the season and have some soul-searching to do as they face the rollicking they'll get from head coach Joe Hayward, having lost by 4-0. We appreciate everyone that has tuned in today, whether on the NPL New South Wales Facebook page or also the YouTube channel. It's been a pleasure bringing you the action, and at full time here at Lambert Park, it has been North Shore Mariners 0, North